Hi, my name's Danny Carroll. I am the author of a now best-selling and award-winning book called Terminal Cancer as a Misdiagnosis. This book is an introduction to the medical discoveries of Dr. Ryke Geerd Hamer, known by either Germanic New Medicine or Germanic Healing Knowledge. This book is designed to be an introduction to Dr. Hamer's medical discoveries for somebody who's never come across his body of work. It's written in lay language so that anybody with no prior knowledge of this subject has the ability to pick it up and read and understand the subject, or at least get an introduction to the subject and the background to Dr. Hamer's medical discoveries. Now, the subject of my talk today is GHK for beginners. Just to give you some background, I am not a medical doctor. I have spent my life in business, in venture capital and asset management and strategic management consulting. I discovered Dr. Hamer's medical discoveries in 2012, and I've now spent the last 12 years studying Dr. Hamer's work, and what I'm going to do today is just give you a little summary of some of the challenges that I faced along that journey, learning this medical science from the perspective of being a non-doctor. And what I'm hopefully doing in order to be able to make it easier for people like who've more recently discovered Dr. Hamer's body of knowledge. So this is Dr. Hamer's scientific chart of the Germanic New Medicine, or Germanic Healing Knowledge, Germanic Heilkunde in German. This is the book that Dr. Hamer has written that records his entire body of his medical discoveries. Now, you can see this is the contents of the book that you can see here. You can see it's reasonably thick, and when you start thumbing through this book, you will find that it is relatively complex and not so easy to understand or digest. This is the book that I've essentially been following over the last many years in order to learn Dr. Hamer's medical discoveries, and my experience of this is that it takes quite applied mind in order to be able to learn Germanic healing knowledge directly from the scientific chart, and it certainly does not make it easy or accessible for somebody who is not medically trained, and therefore has to pick this up and basically learn everything from scratch. Okay, now there is one book that makes this process a little easier. This is the book written by Bjorn Ebel called The Psychic Roots of Disease. If you would like to sign up to my website, you will get a free copy of this in PDF format that you can download when you sign up to my book, to my website. Now, the author of this book, Bjorn Ebel, is also not a medical doctor. So when he's written this book, he's made a concerted effort to write in simple English and as far as possible in a lay language. But as you can see from the book, this is a full summary of Dr. Hamer's medical discoveries. According to me, it's the best summary of Dr. Hamer's medical discoveries in English. This book, just by the way, if you get a hard copy of it, is now out of date. This book has not been updated in the last 6 versions or revisions of Bjorn's book, so it is actually better to work from PDF copy. Now, my experience of giving this to people who have health challenges is that because it contains, again, like the scientific chart, it contains the entire body of medical discoveries that Dr. Hamer made, people still find this book intimidating to go through. It's a 400-plus book and has a lot of content, and still the complexity of looking at the evolution of human biology and the germ layers and embryology and all of the complexities that makes Dr. Hamer's medical discoveries relatively complex to learn and understand. Now, since 2012, I have been thinking about what can be done in order to make Germanic New Medicine or Germanic Healing Knowledge easier for somebody who does not have a background in medicine to be able to learn these medical discoveries, or at least learn them to the extent that they can make the connections between what's going on in their life and how that's affecting and changing their biology in order so that they understand the cause of a problem, they understand the biological purpose of a problem, and they understand basically what they need to do in order to be able to solve their life problem. Okay, so I have been developing a small book series. When you go to a medical doctor and you get a medical diagnosis of breast cancer or a testicular cancer or an IBS or you eczema or any medical diagnosis, the first and most important thing that you want when you're looking for a resource to be able to understand that subject is the book has to talk to that subject, right? So you'll note that this is a book on breast cancer. This is one of the first books that I'm planning to write in what will probably be a 500-plus book series, one book on each disease. And the idea is that when you go to a medical doctor, the doctor will give you a medical diagnosis. Okay, so when you get that medical diagnosis, you will then go and search for resources in order to be able to help you to understand that medical diagnosis and possibly even understand the cause of that problem. Okay, now what I believe needs to happen for a beginner is that we need a series of books, essentially one book on each disease. So this is the book on breast cancer. You'll note that it's still a small book. I think today in a society where people's attention spans are getting shorter and shorter, I firmly believe that we need a simple book that's easy to read, that's quick to read, and that's easy to understand, that can basically tell you what's gone on, what event in your life has caused your biology to change, and then what the purpose of that change in your biology is, and what you need to do to solve it. In my experience, when you understand the cause of a problem, and when you understand the nature's purpose behind what's happening to your body and why it's changing and why you got breast cancer or why you got eczema or IBS or whatever the problem is, when you understand the cause of that problem, when you understand what nature's purpose is in either increasing or decreasing your capacity to help you to solve that problem. And then if you have a simple roadmap of what you need to do in order to solve that life challenge, It removes the fear from the process, and it can put you into a place where you have the ability to sit down consciously and peacefully go through the process in order to help solve the problem. Now, we need one of these books for every disease, essentially. So at the moment, we have a breast cancer book. We have a book on IBS and ulcerative colitis. We have a book on testicular cancer. We have a book on atopic dermatitis. Now, as I said, my belief is that there will be, or there will need to be, 500 plus of these books. Okay, now I can write all of those books myself and just market them under my own name. Okay, but the reality is, even if I write 12 books a year, if I write a book a month, which in itself is challenging to write a book every month and to edit it and to publish it and then to market that book, writing one book a month in itself would be reasonably challenging. Very few authors write 12 books a year, even if they're in a series. And if there are 500 plus of these books to write, then we're looking at that would take me in the region of 40 years to write them all. That means that this generation, my generation, would not have access to a lot of that information. So what I've been doing is exploring ways that we can get these books both written, and writing the book is just the first challenge. Getting these books out to essentially the entire global population, which is 8 billion people, is going to be another huge challenge, especially in the environment of censorship that we're currently working in. These medical discoveries are heavily censored, and people do not want these medical discoveries to get out to the world. So I've given a lot of thought to how we can basically solve this problem. So what I'm in the process of doing is building what I call a collaborative author community to be able to help to write, edit, proofread, and disseminate. I mean, we have 500 books in English. There are potentially up to 200 languages that they would have to be translated in order to be able to get out to a global population. So we're looking potentially at having to publish anywhere in the region of 10,000 books to be able to get this information into a format that is accessible not only for an English reading population, but also also for all of the other many languages. India has 29 basic languages. So the challenge ahead is fairly significant. Not only to be able to translate Dr. Hamer's medical discoveries and get it into bite-sized chunks, so that this is bite-sized, right? So if I have a problem with dermatitis or eczema, for example, do I want to pick up a small book like this that I can read, or am I going to go to a book like this, or am I going to go to a book like this in order to solve the problem? If I'm not a medical doctor, both of these options are going to be very difficult for me, and therefore my idea is for a beginner that this presentation is designed for, that we create a series of books that will be able to be read, understood, and absorbed by anybody with no knowledge of the subject. And that is the critical thing about these books, and that they tell you very clearly what causes a problem, what nature's purpose of that problem is and why it happens, and when you resolve it, what happens at each stage of the process and how you resolve it. So that's the basic idea, but the number of these books that have to be written obviously is huge, and it is simply not possible for one person to do that on their own, to both write, edit, and publish and disseminate these books out to essentially 8 billion people. So I've been thinking about how to solve this problem for many years. I'm lucky this is a divinely guided journey, and the solutions to these problems come to me partially at different points in time. So what I am going to do is take you over to my website so I can show you what approach I'm taking and how I think we can make Germanic New Medicine and Germanic Healing Knowledge both easy to understand and to learn, and ultimately how we can disseminate this out to a global population and even in multiple languages. So let's go over to my website. Okay, now this is my website. Just first thing I'd like to show you is all of these books that have been written. Basically, you can read all of these books for free on my website. So if you go to the header at the top of my website, there is a tab called the Healing Tribune. If you click on the Healing Tribune, basically that will take you to the 4 books that I showed you. And as you can see here, there's the IBS, ulcerative colitis, testicular cancer, atopic dermatitis, and breast cancer, and all of these books will be available to read for free on my website. I took a decision that basically I did not want to put these books behind a paywall. A lot of this information is life-saving and has already saved lives, and I did not want the ability to pay for these books to be a barrier to be able to access the knowledge, so I have put them up on my website for anybody to read for free. If you would like to read these books on my website, if you go to the book that you want to read and you click on the Read More, you will basically be taken to a copy of the book that is up for you to read. So you will see the book is up here on my website. I do have this can be read in blog format on my website, which I will show you. The book is available to buy if you do not like reading on a web page. The book is available in audio copy, it's available in paperback, in ebook copy, and in hardback that you can order in the shop on my website. That's if you have a particular reading preference in terms of the format in which you prefer to consume content. You can also read the entire book available here. All you need to do is basically click on the black box, and then each chapter will be revealed to you here. So I've given my experience of working with people with women with breast cancer. I have given the conventional medicine description for breast cancer. I've given the Dr. Hamer's explanation for breast cancer, so you can go down and read all of that there. I've then done a compare and contrast of the different schools of thought. So you can see my comments there. The differences in the modalities when it comes down to the cause, the biological purpose, and basically the treatment and solution. And under each section I've given my comments. So again, this is all written in simple and easy to read English. And finally, at the end of the book, I have put a chapter on how do I solve my problem. So I go through on this, and in this case this is for introductory breast cancer and mammary gland breast cancer, and what you need to do basically to resolve both of those problems. Okay, so these are the formats of the book. This is the format that I'm expecting all of the books to take, so that they are simple. It helps you to understand the cause of your problem. So if you go down to Dr. Hamer's explanation of breast cancer, you'll have the conflict, the cause of the problem for each of the types of cancer, when the problem starts, i.e. What is conflict activity, what is the biological purpose or meaning of this particular program, and that's separated out for each program, and then what happens after you resolve the problem, and something known as a healing crisis, which is nature's way of removing inflammation from the brain and the organ after healing is completed. So this lays out essentially Dr. Hamer's body of work, but it lays it out, excludes the complexity of the embryonic germ layers. It does not include any of the 5 biological laws in any amount of detail. It's designed to be a very simple introduction to Dr. Hamer's body of knowledge, but targeted at a specific disease. So in this case, the disease is breast cancer, and it is designed to lay out the cause of the problem, the life cause of the problem, nature's biological purpose for doing what it does, and how you resolve that issue. And it's all written in lay language. So you can read these books here on the Healing Tribune tab. Okay, now back to the issue of how do we write and disseminate 500 plus of these books, ideally at least within my lifetime. My idea of that basically is that if one person on their own would struggle tremendously in order to be able to both write and disseminate these books. However, we have a large and well-established community that, if we came together, basically would have a far greater capacity to both write, edit, proofread, and disseminate those books. So my proposed solution to converting this body of knowledge into a format that can be understood and absorbed by anybody with no prior knowledge, and then to get this information out to the world, is to create a community. Okay, now if you go to the community tab on my website, you will see that you have to sign up and log in. If you would like to, I've just recently launched the beta test for this community. If you would like to take part in that beta test, then please feel free to reach out to me at danny-carroll.com, and I will be very happy to sign you up for a beta test to come in and help us to write these books. Now, just to make it clear, if you have no prior knowledge of this, of Germanic New Medicine or Germanic Healing Knowledge, you are the perfect person to get involved. It's critically important that these books can be read and understood by anybody with no prior knowledge of the subject. The only person who has the eyes to be able to read a book and ensure it can be understood by somebody with no prior knowledge is somebody with no knowledge. Okay, because otherwise I don't have the eyes to see through somebody with no knowledge, because I've been studying this for the last 12 years. Okay, so what I've done is I've created 3 sections in this community author website. Basically, I have made, you will see here, this is the community section. I've made one section for each book, And as we add more books into this, I will add one new group for each community, for each book that we write. The idea of these communities basically is to have discussions, decide what's going to be included in the book, what's going to be excluded from the book, to put a community together where people can learn and just come together and find like-minded people who are suffering from the same condition and basically need to be able to find a solution to that problem. Okay, I've put one general community in here and one general Germanic Healing Knowledge community. This will be able, we can discuss the priority of the books that we write. We can have general discussions on issues of Germanic healing knowledge, questions that people want to ask. So when we get a mix of people new to the subject, and we get people who have been practitioners and who've studied this over years and decades, of which we have many in the community, then there'll be a good place for us to be able to come together and start learning. I have created one other group in here. These are all public groups, so anybody can come in and join these groups. If you're going to get involved with one book, either proofreading, editing, or writing, then basically you will need to come in and join the group that you want to get involved in. I've created one other group, which is basically what I've called a GHK Mastermind. This is a private group, and this is where I plan to bring together some of the best minds in our community to be able to guide us on strategically to make sure that we are writing books in the correct order of priority based on the incidence of the disease and the amount of a problem that each disease is to society. That we are writing according to the medical discoveries of Dr. Hamer, and that everything is in a line with the scientific chart, and that we make sure we don't make any mistakes in terms of Dr. Hamer's medical discoveries. Okay, now as well as the community section, I've added again for people new to the subject, I've added 41 hours of learning material. This material was recorded by Helmut Pielhaar. Helmut Pielhaar was appointed by Dr. Hamer as his lecturer on the subject of Germanische Heilkunde, or Germanic Healing Knowledge. He sadly passed away in 2021, but before he passed away, he did share some of that information, which I have put up here for you to review. This will get you a long way up the learning curve in terms of learning more about Dr. Hamer's medical discoveries. There are different sections. There's Germanic Healing Knowledge basic principles, some organ level programs that you can see here, and then there is the psychoses constellations. Just a warning that the final section, psychosis and constellations, is what Dr. Hamer described as higher math. It's the most complex area of the learning. If you are a beginner in the subject, I would suggest that you wait for some time before you start going to that area. I would focus on the first two sections of the website, where you can learn the basics of Germanic healing knowledge, and basically you can get your way some way up the learning curve before you decide to go into the more complex subjects. To exit the training section, you just click on my name that's in blue in the corner. This will take you back to the home page. The most important part of this this platform basically is book writing. So you can see here I've put one tab up for each book that we are currently editing. These are the first 4 books that I've written. At the moment, they've only been published to my website. These books require a lot more editing. They require a lot more case studies to go in order to make them more powerful and make it easier for people to understand. So what I've done in order to both beta test this platform and to start getting books so that they are in a better position to be able to help people to both understand and solve these health conditions, is I put these 4 books up to be edited in the community. Okay, so if we click on the ulcerative colitis book, what that will do is it will take you in to the section where you can basically proofread and edit this book. This is the start of the journey. There are some parts of this platform that I'm still not happy about, but this is just a starting point, and it will evolve over time. But if you decide that you would like to come in and have a try at both either proofreading or editing the book, or even learning from it, what I found from experience is that some of the best ways to learn is just by reading, right? So even by reading, and even if you have no prior knowledge, you can come in and you can edit grammar, and you can edit sentence structures, and you can come in. But when you are editing a book, you also learn from it. Okay, so this is what the basic editing platform will look like. I've done a separate video, just basically how to edit, and you'll see I've started editing this book and the other books at this point in time. Okay, if I exit here, the primary objective of everything I'm doing, whether it's from the book that I published, Terminal Cancer is a Misdiagnosis, or whether it's one of the books in the Healing Tribune series, basically is to attempt to go down a path where we can essentially make Dr. Hamer's medical discoveries easy to understand for anybody with no prior knowledge of the subject. I've been down this journey. As I mentioned at the beginning, I'm not a doctor, and therefore I have found that studying Dr. Hamer's medical discoveries intellectually has been an extremely challenging process. I'm 12 years along the journey. In many ways, I still feel like I've barely scratched the surface. And I have very strong memories of the struggles that I had to go through in order to basically understand, and particularly at times when I have had health challenges, and I have had many, including multiple different cancers and various health challenges, including IBS and ulcerative colitis, and using the scientific chart to try and go through and resolve those issues for a non-doctor is a relatively challenging process and requires fairly significant application of the mind. Okay, what I think, what I believe my contribution to Dr. Hamer's body of work, and I think that many other people in the community could also contribute to this, is to break these complex books like Dr. Hamer's scientific chart. Which, if you decide that you want to do more than just be a beginner in learning these medical discoveries, you will need a copy of this book. It's critically important that you get a copy of this book. But to learn this from a beginner is very, very challenging. If I had, when I started, a simple book like this that basically told me the cause of the problem, what nature's design or purpose for that was, and how I fixed my problem. And it was written in a simple lay English that's easy to understand and absorb. I think I would have been able to progress to the greater complexities of understanding Germanic healing knowledge much quicker than I was able to do so. It's a little bit like the difference between the thin end of the wedge and the thick end of the wedge. If you are starting learning at the thick end of the wedge, it makes it much more difficult to be able to digest that learning. So what I think we need to do basically is to write one of these small books for each disease, so that when you get a diagnosis from a medical doctor, basically you'll be able to pick something up. It will tell you the life cause of the problem and basically how to fix it. Now, writing 500 plus books in the English language in itself is going to be a challenging process. If we set an objective of getting this information out to a global audience, that would necessarily also involve having to translate those books into potentially up to 200 different languages, which means that we have to write and translate potentially up to 10,000 books, which is obviously a huge challenge. Certainly something that one person on their own I don't think could ever do, or if it could, it would be extremely challenging. But I think if we can build a community of people who come together to help to both write, edit and proofread those books, that takes us a long way. We can move through this long and complex journey with far greater speed than we ever could do if it was just one person. Now, the next challenge is to essentially to get this information in its newly accessible format out to a global audience, so that when our family, friends, community basically gets a negative diagnosis from a medical doctor, that they have an alternative source of information that they can read and decide on which path they want to take to healing. Now, to get these books out to 8 billion people is going to be probably a bigger challenge than it will be to write these books and to get them published. So what my vision is to be able to do that is to give everybody who comes into the community to help to write the books, to become what I call a community author. Okay, so the books I envision will be both written by the community and then both disseminated by the community. Okay, I believe that in order to get this information out across the globe, that we will need to have one person, one community author in every village, in every town, in every city in this world. These books have to be disseminated locally, and therefore it needs an army of community authors, proofreaders, editors who can come together and both create this content and make Germanic healing knowledge easy to understand and absorb, and then to create an army of community authors that can make this available at local level. So that if you are a practitioner in any modality, if you would get involved in order to help us to both write, edit, proofread, and then become a community author to help disseminate this information out to the world. I mean, this information is life-saving in my experience, and the quicker we can repackage this and get it out to the world, the more people we can save. So if you'd like to get involved, my website is danny-carroll.com. You can come over. I've just set up the beta test for this journey now, So I'd be delighted to set up a beta test account for you, so you can come in and join the different communities and start becoming a part of a thriving community around Dr. Hamer's medical discoveries, and help to both write, edit, proofread whatever level of skill or experience you can bring to the table in order to be able to get this book out and ultimately become a community author, so you can start disseminating this information in your local community, so people get the opportunity to at least make an informed decision as to which medical modality they want to follow, what their healing journey needs to be in order for them to fully recover their health. Thank you very much, and I look forward to connecting with you if you'd like to become a part of the journey. Bye now.